why you want to pay cash instead of getting a mortgage. I've had a really bad week, and I'm going to tell you about it in a minute, but I want to welcome you back to Retirement Solutions for All Ages. In this episode, we're going to talk about what it's like to go through the mortgage process and purchasing, whether it be your forever home or a vacation home, a condo. It's really more complicated to do a loan than you would think, unless you are highly qualified. But even then, it could be the property that needs help. That's why condos always take longer to process when it comes to a mortgage. Highly qualified is not the right word. All of these buyers that I've worked with have been very highly qualified. But what you need is simplicity. So, somebody who's self-employed, that's not simple. Somebody who earns a very large W-2 paycheck and only spends 20% of their income, has a great credit score, that is easy. Where the problems come in is transferring money that any well-off person is not going to have $50,000 sitting in their checking account. That's going to be someplace that's earning money. And you need to transfer that for your earnest money or down payment or whatever it is. And that's when things get complicated. So let me start straight off by saying the reason you want to pay cash is because it eliminates a lot of hassle. It might not be the smart move, but it might be better for your sanity. I've had a really rough week. 3 condos, all of them with different issues, and all 3 are not closing on time. That's on me, Ruth at Nexa Mortgage. We have over 3,500 loan officers here at Nexa, and we have teams, we have doing business as names, we have individuals. So if I do a lousy job, that does not reflect on Nexa as a whole. Now, if I do a lousy job, it might not be me, but I'm the one you're going to blame. The reason I'm doing this as a Retirement Solutions for All Ages podcast today is because I don't have any other topics. My brain is dry. I've had a really rough week where I'm up at 3 in the morning going over more loan documents just to make sure I didn't miss anything because nothing is as bad as blowing a closing date, not getting clear to close. All right, so here are some of the issues that I've had with the 3 different condo loans, 3 different condos, 2 in Naples, 1 in Marco Island. What's interesting is I was the loan officer on 2, but I was the real estate agent on the third one. And the third lender, not using Nexa Mortgage, also has blown the closing date by a long shot. And I've been dealing with that one for a long time. So when these started going haywire, it just added to my stress. So one of them, the HOA sends back their budget. And in the budget, they're collecting income from the residents to build up their reserves so that they can repair anything that needs repairing in the future. I don't know if you heard about the Surfside Surfside collapse a few years ago, but that changed the rules in Florida when it came to condos.
We are following breaking news out of Florida. A new report is now out revealing what may have caused the deadly condo building collapse in Surfside, Florida, back in 2021. The report from the National Institute of Standards and Technology found that the failures that led to the collapse likely started in the building's pool deck rather than in the tower itself. The collapse of that 12-story building happened in the middle of the night, you may remember, in June 2021, killing 98 people. NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler joins us now with more on this. Ryan, can you walk us through what they discovered, what the biggest takeaways are in this new report, and have we heard from the families?
So, Kate, this report really lends itself to reinforcing what had been the leading hypothesis after this collapse, that problems in the pool deck had doomed this building to collapse for decades prior. Investigators say that from the very construction of that pool deck back in 1981, that it did not live up to applicable building codes, was not built to a sufficient level of safety. And those problems were made worse by 40 years of corrosion and degradation. They point to a few main factors. Corrosion in the steel that reinforced that pool deck, made worse, of course, by the seawater being so close to the ocean, shrinking of the concrete and improperly built construction joints in the pool deck slab. We've known from our reporting dating back 2 years now that investigators have said that pool deck fell well short of applicable building codes, and from the beginning did not have the structural design to ensure safety over all these decades. What struck out to me most in this report, though, is that this collapse was not inevitable and was not unforeseeable. In fact, investigators point to a number of warning signs in the weeks and days before the collapse that showed that there were structural concerns. You had doors that were sliding off of their hinges, gates that were getting stuck because they were shifting vertically, and major leaks in the garage that kept getting worse and worse in areas that needed frequent repairs, cracks in the walls, warning signs that came up to the very day of the collapse. So Kate, we have not yet heard from the families. Of course, we're eager to hear whether this report rings true to them, whether it brings any closure, as so many people have questions how a seemingly random collapse can happen on this popular beach. But we do know the lead investigator, Judith Mitrani-Reiser, says that this tragic event has revealed flaws in our systems, and quality is at the heart of it. So all of this work is to make sure that a tragedy like this never happens again, and we bring some answers for these families. Kate.
Yeah, indeed. Ryan Chandler, thank you.
And then also in March of this year, there was a new rule that was changed. The idea was that it was going to ease the burden for condos, but it eased them in some, made them harder in others. So it's still a really complicated issue. And a lot of the condos don't know it's new. So you have to figure it out as you go along. All right. So the one condo, they're collecting income from the residents to build up their reserve so they can do future repairs. The underwriter didn't like the word income. They wanted to see the actual set aside for reserves and wanted it a separate budget line item. We went round and round, got a different one. And it's like, no, that only has the year to date for 26. We want to know the future of 26. And it's like, okay, but we haven't gotten that money yet. We're going to. That's why we call it income. Long story short, it's a mess. I don't necessarily tell the client everything that is turning this into a hairball situation, but that's the sort of thing we deal with. I was talking to somebody else today, and they were saying that the condo questionnaire that has to be filled out, when it came back, 3 of the spaces were left blank. So they contact the condo again and say, hey, we need these answered. So they'll answer 1 and another time back saying, hey, what about these other 2? So those are some of the really common problems with condo financing, condo questionnaires. Now, my current situation with the three different condos, um, we had one lender that gave us their questionnaire sheet, and then the condo had to fill that out specifically. Another condo is more automated and uses a third-party service, and so they provide you with a generic condo questionnaire. That generic condo questionnaire was accepted by one of the lenders, but wouldn't be accepted by the other. So we had to then ask for a specific answer these questions, even though the questions are mostly the same and they're looking out for health and safety issues, reserve deficits. What percentage of the units are owned by the people living in the units versus investors, all sorts of different aspects that come down to the condo questionnaire and getting those condo questions answered. What happens is we then submit it to the underwriter. The underwriter looks at all the conditions. Does the buyer have enough income? Does the condo have enough reserves? Uh, For example, one of the loans I had, I counted that we had done 46 closed conditions and had 7 still opening. The problem with the way things work with underwriters and lenders, we work with over 250 lenders, and just about all of them do it this way, is they want to look at the entire package at once and go through, yes, debt to income's fine. Yes, credit score is fine. Yes, they're still employed. Fine. All these different aspects are looked at by the loan officer, then submitted to the underwriter, and the underwriter looks at them and then comes back with questions or clarifications or we need this. Some of those problems can be a little difficult to decipher when they say we need the jargon, 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 jargon. And it needs to come from the accountant or the financial advisor. So we send that to the accountant or the financial advisor, and they say, hey, I don't understand this. What exactly are they looking for? So we try and get clarification and go back and forth. And it's the game of telephone that if I whisper into your ear a sentence and then you go whisper it to somebody else, and they whisper it to somebody else, and they whisper it to somebody else, by the end of the line, what the first person said is nothing like what the last person said. All right. So, a lot of times, what happens is you're spending so much time getting these documents that at some point you just say, screw it, I'm paying cash, skip this. You can make a lot of money on an Airbnb. If you own a rental property, manage it correctly. I loved owning my rental property in Marco Island, and I was making good money. However, my husband had the situation where he had a rental property up in Michigan, and he was constantly going and getting, these were long-term rentals, getting eviction notices, going to court, all that fun stuff. So he didn't want anything to do with it. Well, that's one of the benefits of really retiring and having the money in your account that you can say, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. I want a stress-free life. Okay. I'm trying to remember where I was going with one of the threads, and I know I've jumped around, and I know that I'm not very good at editing to put the threads all together. So let's see if I can jump back to what I was saying. Oh, underwriters. Okay. So we submit 50 uh, conditions, or We submit the file, the underwriter comes back, and let's say there are 50 conditions. A lot of those are normal everyday things, like verify that the earnest money was received, verify that the title company has all of their documents that are necessary, have the HOA questionnaire completed, and please explain this slip and fall or the milestone report. So the underwriter comes back with all these conditions. Now, most, if not all, companies, the underwriter doesn't want to waste their time going through everything until it's ready. And it's like the joke that, hey, I gave my boss this report and he said, it's not good enough. Redo it. So I redo it and I give it to him and he says, it's not good enough. Redo it. And I give it back to him and it's not good enough. Redo it. And I finally say, I've done everything I can. What more do you want? Oh, just that it was your best. I'll read it now. So the underwriters make you wait until you have everything all ready and say, hey, we're ready to go. And you submit it. Then it takes them anywhere from a few hours to a few days to look through everything. They come back and say, I need this, 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 and this. Well, once I submit this, but not this and this, I get in line, get in queue. Well, then I get this one, so I put that in. Well, they take me out of the first queue and put me into a new queue. It's like being on hold for an hour or so. And finally, you get through after listening to hold music for a few hours, and the person just hangs up on you, and you have to start all over again. That's what going in line with an underwriter is like. So this is the true way things work. I know this is far from coherent line of thinking. I try not to use industry jargon. And I also try and give you an idea of what you're going through. I have bought and sold so many homes that I know how complicated it is. And I know what to look out for. Like, I know I can't transfer money from one account to the other account and then take that and send it to title for, or send it for the earnest money, because they then want to look at, did the title company receive the earnest money? Did it come out of this account? It came out of this account. But there wasn't enough money in this account a month ago. Where did it come from? Well, it came out of this account. So then they have to look at 2 months back of everything. And in this one particular situation, we had the accounts, but it came from the financial advisor, and there was a $50 wire fee. So the numbers didn't match up exactly. And they want us to go back to the financial advisor and show where it came out of. Well, she just retired and she has several different retirement accounts and rollovers. And oh my gosh, it's just a mess. It's a mess. And this is the best I can do for a podcast this week. Sorry it's late, and sorry it doesn't follow the full thread of everything else, but I am so exhausted, and really, I'm good at reverse mortgages. If you're looking to buy a condo, I'm going to refer you to somebody else in the future. But please, if you're looking at getting a reverse mortgage, I'm your gal. Thank you for watching Retirement Solutions for All Ages. If this helped you at all, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes and so you can see if there are future episodes after this disastrous week. Tell your friends, your family, your mom, your child, anyone who actually has real estate or wants to own real estate. I have over 24 podcasts so far. There's a lot you can learn. And like I said, we have 3,500 loan officers at Nexa Mortgage. I've got lots of them I can refer you to anywhere in the country. I work primarily in Naples, Florida, Marco Island, and Asheville, North Carolina, and all of North Carolina as well, Atlantic Beach, North Carolina. So please, thank you for listening. I can't believe you got it to the end of this. Yay, congratulations. See you next week.